Researchers at the University of Regina say they've detected 2 new Omicron variants in the city's wastewater. They say that could be part of the reason we're seeing an increase in COVID cases here. To understand what that means for Saskatchewan, we've reached Angela Rasmussen in Saskatoon. She's a virologist and researcher with the University of Saskatchewan's Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Natasha.
Thanks for joining us. So what can you tell us about these new subvariants and what their impact might be?
So these 2 new Omicron subvariants are one of a handful of these different subvariants, kind of like an alphabet soup of different Omicrons that are spreading around the world. And these are 2 of them called BQ1.1 and BQ1.11. Essentially, what you need to know is that they are derivatives of different Omicron subvariants. Essentially, they're new versions of Omicron that potentially could cause a surge as we move into the winter months.
Okay, so as we are moving more indoors, what should people be thinking of, especially in light of these new subvariants?
So I think the thing that people really need to be thinking about first and foremost is what their vaccine strategy is going to be moving into these months. So in Canada now, we have an option to take 2 new bivalent bivalent boosters. These bivalent boosters are actually specific for Omicron. So they should increase our protection against different Omicron subvariants, including the 2 described here. Now, many people have not had any kind of booster, or if they have had a booster, it was with the original recipe vaccine. If it has been 4 months since your most recent case of COVID or 4 months since your most recent dose of a vaccine, then you should be really thinking about getting a bivalent booster, because everything that we do know to date about booster shots is that they do confer increased protection against both infection and severe disease caused by the Omicron family of subvariants. The bivalent booster should actually increase protection against infection from both of these subvariants that have been detected. So that's really something that people are going to be wanting to think about first and foremost as we move into these months where cold and flu viruses like SARS coronavirus 2 and influenza virus for that matter are more likely to surge.
You referenced the uptake in the bivalent vaccines or boosters in general there. What are you seeing or thinking in terms of people's attitudes towards protecting themselves against COVID now that we're, 2.5 years into the pandemic?
So understandably, people are very, very tired of SARS coronavirus 2, as am I. I think a lot of people have thought that maybe boosters aren't really necessary or that they're optional. And really, all the data that we have about boosters, including about boosters that were formulated towards the original virus, is that they really do substantially increase your protection. So really, people don't need to be thinking about boosters anymore as something they might do if they have time. People really should be thinking about boosters as something that they absolutely should do, especially as we move into this time of year when it's more likely that you're going to be exposed to circulating strains of COVID. Now, especially with the bivalent boosters, people really should know that these boosters are more specific for the variants that are circulating among us now. So they should provide additional protection on top of the protection that we already know that boosting provides. Therefore, boosters are not optional. Boosters really, really need to be the cornerstone of anybody's winter strategy for dealing with respiratory viruses and minimizing their risk as to getting COVID.
Thank you for that, Angela.
My pleasure.